the Irish guy, and so yeah, here's your midweek edition of the Prem Catchup, rounding up every Premier League match. Right, let's go. Man United 2, Tottenham 0. Tottenham are rubbish. Okay, maybe that's a bit harsh, but when you factor in the levels of the summer hype, lads, people were talking them up as a title challenger. Well, it's the 20th of October, and Antonio Conte has already told you that you're wrong. I mean, he's already given up. Isn't Antonio Conte a fraud? No, he's not. But this is still just gonna blow up in his face. I'm sorry, but he's just wasting his time. I mean, just ask Jose Mourinho, but this is arguably worse. I mean, look at Tottenham this season. Actually look at them. I mean, they squeaked some narrow wins against Wolves, Nottingham Forest, Fulham, Brighton, Everton. I mean, they've lost the North London derby, should have lost to Chelsea, and their record in the Champions League is still patchier than a quilt knitted by your blind nan. I mean, losing to Sporting Lisbon and failing to score against Eintracht Frankfurt. I mean, these are Europa League level teams. But this was the worst. You are travelling to Old Trafford to play a team who nearly lost it over to Newcastle 4 days ago, and honestly, this could have been 6-0. This was a royal embarrassment. I mean, Conte should be relieved that Hugo Lloris had eaten his morning wheat and Bix, because you just relied on a guy who's only 36 years of age to save your dignity. Honestly, Marcus Rashford would have gone to sleep last night and had nightmares about this guy. But make no mistake about it, without Lloris's strong wrists, then Conte would have been embarrassed. Tottenham just got played off the park by a manager who failed the Spurs audition for having the charisma of a carrot. And what? I suppose Conte's the next Simon Cowell? I mean, have you heard him speak in the post-match interview? I mean, he just mumbles as if he's got half a potato in his mouth. That is the absolute lack of adventure. I mean, this is Tottenham. You go to Old Trafford and you go down fighting. I mean, you always go to win. Lads, back in 2009, Harry Redknapp had Tottenham 2-0 up here at half-time. Mauricio Pochettino left this ground with a 3-0 win in 2018. Jose Mourinho left this stadium and watched his side score 6 on the road. Even Andre Villas-Boas was leaving Old Trafford with a win. But where was that? Where was any of that? This game felt very much like the days of, lads, it's Tottenham. Just so very easy. Listen, don't get me wrong, Man United were very good, and Bruno Fernandes utterly tortured the club who we nearly signed for in 2019. But Tottenham, look at this 11. How defensively dull. It's like it was set up by Steve Bruce. I mean, it's like staring at the cast of Coronation Street. I mean, where's the invention, the flair, the attacking risk? It's just so mind-numbingly dull. I mean, Conte is not a wizard. Can we please all stop treating him like he's Gandalf the Grey? In my head, he's a very good coach, yes. I mean, one of the best in the world, sure. But his legacy will always be that he's just a B-Tech Mourinho. I mean, his career is already winding down now at 53. I mean, let's be honest, he peaked at Inter Milan. I mean, to me, he'll be retired when he's 60. I mean, failing at Spurs, and he will fail at Spurs, will severely damage his rep. I mean, let's put it this way. If he ever becomes the manager of Real Madrid after this, I will drink a milkshake off a toilet seat. I mean, let's just look at the great jobs he's managed to do, right? Well, he won a few Serie A titles with Juventus. Yeah, I mean, it did help that it coincided around the time where both Milan clubs were sort of melting into dust. You know, selling all their best players to PSG. I mean, he dominated Italy, yes, but I mean, what did he do in the Champions League? Spoilers, nothing much. Praise him up under Conte. Juve failed to get out of a group that Galatasaray finished second in. And in the Europa League, they went just one round further than Alan Pardew's Newcastle. As Italy manager, he lost at Euro 2016 to Ireland. And Chelsea, yeah, it was a brilliant title win in 2017. But let's be real, it was largely the same team that robbed to the title in 2015. I mean, he didn't exactly reinvent the wheel. He was just using the same toys that Jose had bought. And let's not forget, in his second season, he did fail to get Chelsea into the top 4. I mean, does nobody remember under Conte, Chelsea conceding 7 goals in 2 consecutive games against Bournemouth and Watford? They were a mess. Yeah, I mean, the title win at Inter Milan was great. But I mean, they also finished bottom of their Champions League group. And the previous year, he bottled the Europa League final. He is a top manager, but not a miracle worker. And here, Man United, nearly 30 shots on goal. I mean, this was like watching Nuno Santo ball. It was bleak, hideously unattractive stuff from Conte. And I'm telling you, the clock is ticking on his job. I mean, Mourinho was sacked in February, right? So then I'm calling it. That'll be the month that Conte leaves as well. And with a damaged stock, then I promise you. I mean, he'll be off to get his job back at Juventus, sure. But I mean, considering Max Allegri failed in his return, I wouldn't know that much hope for Conte. And that'll be it. Soon he'll be tossed into the same nursing home as Allegri, where they can just both look miserable and play checkers until their brains are mush. Honestly, Tottenham at Old Trafford were hopeless. And I actually think if Spurs are given a chance to end the season with Pochettino at the wheel, then just take it. like it, because nobody is winning this Tottenham team any trophies. But I mean, at least with Poch, they might actually travel to these grounds and actually try to win. But under Conte, the players sit so deep, Eric Dyer might as well have been in bed. By the way, quick side note, yes, I know Cristiano Ronaldo left the game early to storm off down the tunnel. But I mean, who really cares? Who's really going to be talking about this next week? This is Ronaldo. It's what he does. He is a nearly 40-year-old man who has temper tantrums. Sure, he's the Portuguese Jeremy Lynch. Fine. Lads, is this really worse than smashing a 10-year-old's phone? I mean, why is the world stopping for this? It's because it's Ronaldo that anyone cares. I mean, lads, if Anthony Elanga decided to leave his seat in 87 minutes to get a Kit Kat from the vending machine in the loo, then nobody would say a word. Lads, maybe Ronaldo needed to use the toilet. Would you rather he have just stayed in his seat and allowed his bladder to burst with Tom Heaton's feet just covered in Ronaldo piss? Lads, calm down. Ruth Van Nistelrooy stormed away from Old Trafford in his car before a match against Charlton. Fine, that's horribly unprofessional stuff. But here, I mean, there was only, what, 2 minutes left? Lads, Jose Mourinho used to leave his Chelsea seat before the final whistle. Remember when he enraged Roy Keane? Just, who cares? Are Manchester United fans really going to stop singing Ronaldo's name because he left his seat? I mean, is he no longer a legend? No, you're talking absolute potato waffle.
Oh, he walked down the tunnel!
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he didn't exactly suffocate someone's granny in a car park. Just relax. Liverpool 1, West Ham 0. Stop it! Those are the words to anyone who wants to pretend that Darwin Nunez is a crumbled egg McMuffin. I'm sorry, but over the last few days, people have been pretending that this guy, in reality, is just an Instagram model who won his Liverpool contract in a packet of crisps. Actually, to be fair, judging by that six-pack, the guy probably hasn't eaten a Pringles since 2006. I mean, to be fair, if you even offered him a bowl of Cocoa Pops, he'd probably react to it as if it was a bowl of his mummy's wee. But lads, some people, I'm just gonna say it, Lawrence Boovey said that within 30 years, Nunez will be playing for Reading FC. I mean, does he look like Andy Carroll to you? People like to pretend that this guy was a president from the Liverpool owners and that Klopp didn't actually want him. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit like your wife choosing to adopt a homeless cat behind your back, and then it turns out that you're allergic to cats and would spend the rest of the month sneezing so much that your pillow would soon be coated in blood. I mean, apparently Nunez is a square peg in a round hole. A traditional number 9 centre forward that doesn't fit Klopp ball, but I'm sorry, but stop it! FSG are a company who paid a club record £32.5 million to sign Chris Benteke in 2015. I mean, 10 weeks later they appoint Klopp, and he immediately decides that this marquee signing is about as much use as a handbag made of cheese, and chooses to sell him to Crystal Palace. No questions asked. Nunez does fit the bill. He is what Klopp wants. And he can score goals. Lad, how many players have FSG bought that Klopp has managed to turn into a superstar? I mean, back in 2016, don't lie, you thought that Sadio Mane was just a beefy Nathan Redmond and who had about as much end product as Piers Morgan and his morals in his brain. I mean, apparently Mo Salah was just an underwhelming Chelsea flop. The modern day Ricardo Quaresma, while Virgil van Dijk was just a Dutch James Tarkowski, right? Lads, Nunez is quality. Here he nods in an expert header, then smashes the volley off the post and forces Lucas Fabianski into a top save. I mean, he could have had a hat-trick. He's not the modern day Dirk Kuyt. I mean, he's not just isolated and standing up front like an antisocial bookworm at the zoo. You know, that weird loner who just spent 3 hours a day begging the monkeys for a kiss? Okay, fine, that was me. They don't brush the monkey's teeth at the zoo. Newcastle 1, Everton 0. Frank Lampard thought Everton deserved a point. I'm sorry, what was in his coffee flask? Are we sure it wasn't a milkshake filled with Smarties and poo? Because clearly, if he's having such delusional thoughts after the match, I wouldn't have put it past midlife Frank to actually just be a wacky loon who probably goes home at night to iron his cat. Because going forward, Everton were hopeless. How uninspiring it must be for Everton fans. I mean, this club have always lacked star centre forwards. You know, aside from that brief era when they had Romelu Lukaku. But other than that, I mean, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has already proved to me anyway that he's just a brief flash in the pan. I mean, this is the point where we just need to wait for his desperate coach to realise that. You know, in the same way Jesse Marsh needs to sober up and accept reality, you know, that the myth of Patrick Bamford is dead in a ditch. I mean, this is like when Crystal Palace kept persisting with Benteke and hoping, just hoping that he'd remember how to score a goal. Now, I'm sorry, the toy is broken. Just throw it in a bin. So, I feel sorry for Everton. Their squad going forward is so painfully average. But Newcastle, we are 11 games into the season, and they're 6th. Lads, whisper quietly, but Newcastle United are 5 points behind Man City. Lads, they're 9 points off the title. Do you see what happens when Mike Ashley gets expelled from the club? I'll honestly, the weary ghost of that donut munching oaf, he's just gone. I mean, it's a bit like if an exorcist was just living in the ground. Because, I mean, it's not as simple as buying him out. I mean, it's been 15 years of Ashley. I'd imagine the posh seats probably still swing of sweat and burger meat. But listen, Newcastle weren't at their best here. But a win was important, and Miguel Miron fires an absolute belter into the top bins of Jordan Pickford's net. I mean, that is 5 goals in 11 games for the season for him. I mean, if you want to factor in the pre-season matches, then ever since Jack Grealish drunkenly sneered down his phone, then Almiron, the supposed useless ugly duckling, ever since those comments, he's banged in 11 goals in 16 starts. I mean, Jack Grealish could never. But what I'm most impressed about with Newcastle is that Eddie Howe has shattered another myth. Apparently this guy was just some fancy ball-playing Bournemouth coach who could not organise a defence. You know, football's answer to Lionel Hutz. I mean, he had a £40 million Nathan Ake and still went down. But, I mean, Howe trying to keep a clean sheet must be like an elderly lady trying not to wet herself on the bus. It's all just a bit awkward to watch. Yeah, no, Newcastle have the best defence in the league. I mean, look at their back four. There's only one survivor from the Steve Bruce era. Fabian Schär, who looks like a man reborn. Honestly, under Bruce, all the life had been sucked out of him. I mean, like Nunez, apparently he was just another pretty boy with no footballing brain, right? I'd be like if he tossed the kid off toilet in defence. But no, this is the best defence in the league. Lads, Newcastle. So many managers tried and failed to fix the club's back line. I mean, they couldn't defend under Kevin Keegan, or really under Sir Bobby Robson. It's like a footballing curse. I mean, I actually thought that Sam Allardyce might have shored things up in 2007. You know, a defensive specialist. Yeah, no, within weeks of taking the job, they were 3-0 down at home to Portsmouth after 10 minutes of the match. So what do you think? I mean, sure, Benitez did fix it, I suppose, but I mean, he also had to clog the team with 5 at the back and sort of sacrificed any attacking flair. Just sort of an ugly compromise. You know, it's a bit like a plumber agreeing to fix your fridge. It's just with the caveat being that he has to plug it into the same socket as the toilet. So yeah, I mean, enjoy eating your shepherd's pie in the bath whilst Uncle Fred squeezes out a poo in the sink. So yeah, how? Incredible job you're doing. Bournemouth 0, Southampton 1. Aw, lad, no! When I saw that Bournemouth had just lost a winnable game at home to Southampton, I'll admit it, I mean, trying to digest this news, it was like trying to eat scrambled egg filled with broken glass. It was just all a bit... No! I love to see underdogs on a run. I mean, I always want to see the run continue. Just see how far you could take it. Because Bournemouth were 6 unbeaten. All you have to do is just don't lose to a horror show like Southampton at home. And that would be 7 games without defeat. But this result just sort of spoils all the fun. I mean, I remember feeling this exact same way 3 years ago. Leicester just won 8. Yes, 8 Premier League matches in a row. So go on, make it 9. Just make it 9. No, the run stops when they couldn't beat little Norwich City at home. Oh, just kind of ruins all the joy. You couldn't win the easiest game. What is worrying about Bournemouth though is that losing that unbeaten run absolutely knocked the momentum out of Leicester's sails. Because, I mean, the Foxes had just won 12 of their previous 14 league matches. They were on fire. But after the disappointment against Norwich, they then won 6 out of the last 22 games. I mean, it was a credible title challenge in October, but by May, they were just 3 points ahead of Wolves. I mean, since that Norwich draw, Sheffield United won 4 more games than them. So I hope this doesn't completely deflate Bournemouth, but I can see a fat parallel, and here's the spooky thing. Both Bournemouth this season and Leicester that season both played out a 9-0 match in the autumn. I mean, come on! I mean, the positive though is that Bournemouth still don't concede many goals, which is mental to say about a team who recently shipped 9. But forget the penalties. Since that 9-0 horror show, Bournemouth have played 7 times, and only once has someone scored against them from open play using their feet, and that was Patson Daka for Leicester. That is the only time someone has, without the help of a penalty, managed to score with their feet past Neto in nets. I mean, that's the most positive spin I can put on this. 1 non-pen foot goal in 7 games. But yeah, just like Leicester in 2019, just watch the momentum slide. Brentford 0, Chelsea 0. This is all about Kepa. What a hero. This is arguably one of the greatest personal comebacks in the history of the Premier League. Can anyone remember a career revival like this? Imagine if Chelsea had sold him in the summer. I mean, it'd be like when people were laughing at Arsenal when they got rid of Emiliano Martinez to Aston Villa. I mean, I suggested that Newcastle should have signed Kepa in the summer, and everyone laughed at me. But lads, even I didn't expect this form. Everyone just assumed that he was some spaghetti-armed action man. Someone with the reflexes of a cereal box. But look at him. I'm gonna say this. If he's not in the Spain squad for the World Cup, it's an absolute disgrace. I'm sorry, this is the perfect moment to catch lightning form for the World Cup. If Luis Enrique honestly decides to leave Kepa at home in favour of the guy who's in net at the other end of the pitch, David Raya, then something is seriously wrong. I don't want to talk about the game here. I just want to marvel at Kepa. After all the stick he's taken, he deserves this. So I knew this version of Kepa existed. I just assumed he was a massively overpaid panic buy in 2018. I mean, lads, Chelsea had a month to buy a keeper. They were even sniffing around Jack Butland from Stoke. But lads, it's taken until he's 28. But I think that despite having nothing to do but just play reserve football for years, Kepa Arrizabalaga has still matured into, I'm gonna say it, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. This is not the same hopeless melting cheesecake who helplessly stood in net, as you can see the 6 at the end he had. It's not the same one. This guy is on another level. I mean, last season, if you were asked to list every Premier League goalie in order, then honestly, I promise you, Kepa would not have made your top 20. Probably even have had him lower in the pecking order than Bernd Leno or Tim Krul, because he was just a Spanish Carl Dotto, right? Nah, lads, Kepa is class. Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Yeah, I didn't watch this. I watched the Bake Off instead. Yes, I'd rather watch an old man struggle to make pies than watch this wretched bore fest. And yeah, Brighton picked up their 16th 0-0 draw since 2019. Do you see what I'm saying here? Roberto De Zerbi might have begun life with a bang at Anfield, but the truth is that he's yet to win a match in 4 attempts. I'm sorry, Frank de Boer was sacked for that. Crystal Palace 2, Wolves 1. Did you not hear? I was watching midlife crisis men making muffins in the kitchen. To be fair, I did watch the highlights back of this game, and yeah, Crystal Palace were yet again pretty good. I mean, they recovered from the early embarrassment letting Adama Traore score a goal, but apparently the word on the street is that Gareth Southgate is going to put Eze in his provisional World Cup squad, which just seems a bit cruel because he's only going to cut it down anyway. Honestly, who does this? It all feels so very X-Factor, just designed to make someone cry on camera. I mean, it's like sending out invites to your birthday party when you're 7, and at the last minute, I mean, they got 5 people just to tell them that they can't come, and that they'll have to just sit at home and watch Shrek on their own. It's all a bit cruel, but imagine if Eze does get the call. I would imagine that James Maddison will probably feel like biting off his own ear. I mean, what more does he have to do? Anyways, what do you think? And let me know in the comments what you think of this game. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. I thought it was always. I'll talk to you in a while.